Hello again, friends, and welcome to our third edition of the High School Football Press Box Preview. I'm Tyler Cavali. He is Scott Foster, and we thank you for tuning in once again. And this is our third one. We had last week off, but we're back again, and it's kind of hard to believe that this is already week 4 of high school football.
Yeah, it really is, and we've learned some things. I think we still have some things to figure out with some teams. But at this point, you got a pretty good idea of where teams are and who are going to be the players.
Now, is this an instance of we're now this deep in the season where if you're having a struggling season, is it panic mode yet?
It depends a lot on your district and the team and your schedule that you have coming up. You can look down the schedule and go, okay, well, here's a couple games we can get. I don't think you're going to panic. You can't panic this early in the season. But you could have a little bit like McCook, a little circle the wagons mentality and try to get things going again.
On the opposite end, if you're undefeated so far and things are going well, that doesn't mean you can fall asleep at the wheel.
And I think Gothenburg is a good example of that. We're going to talk about them a little bit. They got a tough schedule coming up, even though they're undefeated. So, it's great to be there, but a lot of season left.
Well, let's get right down to business. Our first game they'll have for you on 880 KRVN. It's a Class C matchup between 3-0 Gothenburg and 3-0 Adams Central. And Scott, you'll have the call for this one. And boy, this is a big-time matchup this early on in the season, and we're really going to find out a lot about both of these teams.
Yeah, I'm pumped. I'm excited. This may be the best C1 game in the state of Nebraska, and two undefeated teams. Gothenburg doing it the way they do it. They pound the ball. They come after you. They play good defense. Adams Central is fast. They're scoring a lot of points, and they're playing good defense. So it's kind of an immovable force against an irresistible object sort of game.
I want to recap last week's game with Holdridge for Gothenburg. And boy, they had a great game with the Dusters. They won 34-6. But McGuire Bartlett, he was a stud last week as he counted for 3 touchdowns on another solid performance from the senior quarterback.
He's been a stud all year. He's been very efficient, 5 out of 7 for 99 yards. He scored a couple touchdowns through another great pass to Brody Stenicky, who made a great catch for a touchdown. They had some big plays last week, which we hadn't seen from them before. Bartlett's going to have a big game against Adams Central. It sounds like there might be some injuries that could impact what Gothenburg wants to do in their game plan. Bartlett has been every bit of a 4-year starter.
Well, the offense was terrific as a whole last week, and that was, again, partly because of Bartlett. They had a total of 385 yards of offense. But this defense for the Swedes, I think, has been underrated. It's been stout so far, as their defense has only allowed 3 touchdowns all season. That's incredible.
It really is, and they've all been kind of after the game was decided. And they, at one point in the game last week, I looked down at the stats in the third quarter. Holdridge has thrown the ball 17 times, and they had 17 yards passing. This is a fast, come-at-you, hair-on-fire defense, and they're going to need every bit of that against Adams Central.
Now, for Adams Central, their defense is also really good as well. They've only allowed 22 points all season long. Big part of the reason why they're 3-0.
Yeah, they're quick. There's athletes all over the field. Saw that last year. These two matched up in Hastings. It was a good game, but Adams Central really controlled the line of scrimmage, and that's the thing that's underrated. They are quick, but they're good in the big uglies too.
And their offense has been well balanced, 500 yards, over 500 yards for the passing game and the rushing attack, so they know what they're doing on the offensive end as well.
Yeah, I talked to one of the Gothenburg coaches just the other night. He said they're going to have us running all over the field. Should
mention that a big win over Aurora to start the season, 24-8. Of course, we know what Aurora did last season, winning the C1 state championship a season ago. So don't forget, coming up on Friday night, it's a battle of the undefeateds in Class C1. It's 3-0 Gothenburg and 3-0 Adams Central. Kickoff starts at 7 o'clock. We'll have that for you on 880 KRVN, 106.9 FM in the Kearney area, and 98.5 FM in Grand Island. Over on Cami Country Legends on Friday night, we'll have a 6-man edition of high school football as 2-1 Eustace Farnham will host 0-2 Deshler. Scott, this is going to be fun. We don't have a lot of 6-man games on all season long, and this is going to be a fun one. It's a track meet always.
Yeah, you got your track shoes ready to go for this one?
I'm warming up. I think I'm ready to go. I've done a couple of races here and there, so no, we're ready to fun. This is going to be a fun one between the Knights and the Dragons. Both these teams coming in off of playoff appearances last season. Now, for Eustace Farnham, this is an instance of where they're relying on experience, and head coach Brian Fengmeyer has a promising team, and he's he's really relying on his son and quarterback Tanner Fengmeyer, who is a senior this season. He's a 3-year starter, but boy, he has been so good this year, passing for over 300 yards. And when you have a guy like that, who is controlling your offense, promising things can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. At any level, no matter how many people are on the field, if you can get some experience behind center, that's really good. And Fangmeyer was expected as we came into the season to have a really good year, and he certainly has. They put up some huge numbers.
Now, the running game also has been prolific so far as well, and it's been interesting because they're doing it without their starting running back and Grady Wright, who was injured in the first game and has not returned. They hope that he returns sometime in the near future. But they turned to the freshman and Colton Stubbs, and he was an animal last week. He ran for 255 yards and 4 touchdowns in his first game.
If you got some speed in 6-man and you can get to the outside, you can make some hay, and that's definitely what they did last week.
Now, he was an only freshman that's been having a great season so far. On the other side of the football field, you'll have the Deshler Dragons. They're 0-2 on the season, but let's be honest, their schedule has not been easy leading up to this one with Eustace Farnham, and this one won't be easy either. But boy, they're really relying on the heels and the shoulders of their freshman quarterback in Gavin Nash, who has actually been pretty good so far. He's 20 of 29 for 235 yards and 3 touchdowns, and for a freshman to come in there, like Stubbs, for Eustace Farnham, being poised.
That was one of the great things about 6-man football is so many people get a chance to play where you might get lost in the shuffle. You got a couple freshmen here have risen to the top. It's pretty cool. And the other cool story about this too is that Deshler is the Deshler area is kind of the founding of 6-man football back in the 30s during the Depression. A gentleman from Chester, which is about 19 miles away, was the guy who came up with 6-man football. So it's kind of fun for that. And Dragons and Knights, it's a medieval game.
That's right, I like it. It's our medieval game on Friday night on KRVN Country Legends. Very good. Should also mention Deshler's defense has struggled this season as well. They've given up 70 points in each of their first 2 games. But boy, when you're playing high-class talent, though, and when you're having youngsters in there, you're going to have some struggles early on.
Well, and hopefully for Deshler's coaches, it's a teachable moment. They see what they've seen some of the best, and now what can we do to stop it? And we'll see if they can come up with that.
Well, Scott mentioned it's our medieval game on Friday night on KRVN Country Legends. It is Eustace Farnham hosting Deshler. Kickoff for that one is at 7 p.m. We'll also have it on KRVN.com. Other games of interest across the state of Nebraska this week. Northwest will be taking on Aurora. Aurora is back at home, and Aurora has been having somewhat of an up-and-down season.
They have, and I'll tell you what, Northwest has not. Northwest has been very good. I don't know what to expect from Aurora. They, like you said, they've been up and down, but Northwest could take them to the woodshed here.
Another game that's going to be interesting to watch for is McCook and Beatrice. McCook on the road all the way out to southeast Nebraska to take on the Orangemen. McCook getting a big win at home against York last week.
One they had to win. Undefeated York comes in there, and McCook dominates them 21-0. We'll see if they can keep that kind of momentum going.
A couple of games in central Nebraska to watch for. Bertrand will host Wadena Palisade. Kearney Catholic is at home against Ogallala, and Ogallala is a team that a lot of people are keeping an eye on.
Look out. Ogallala could go undefeated in the regular season, and this game is interesting because Kearney Catholic's been a little bit up and down too. It's in Kearney Catholic. It could be a good game, but I wouldn't be surprised if Ogallala wins pretty handily.
North Platte St. Pat's will host Gibbon, while Sidney is hosting the Cozad Haymakers, and Cozad hoping to get a big win out in the Panhandle.
Yeah, got their first win last week against Chase County, a 13-0 shutout. Hoping to do much the same. They got a win against Sidney last year.
Southern Valley will host Doniphan Trumbull. Sutton is hosting Centennial. That is going to be another C1 matchup to watch for. And York will host Omaha Scud Catholic. Should mention the Centennial and Sutton matchup and Scud Catholic in York. Those games can be heard on 1049maxcountry.com. And I want to go back to the York game real quick. These two teams obviously have played for a state championship. They played for a state championship last year in basketball. They know each other real well, and this is going to be another fun one to watch.
Well, the question is, coming into the season, could anybody beat Scud? And this is the Duke's chance to try to be that team.
You got a rebound after a tough loss from McCook as well. So don't forget, coming up on 880 KRVN Friday night, we will have 3-0 Gothenburg versus 3-0 Adams Central. And over on Cammie Country Legends, it'll be six-man football, the medieval game, of course, according to Scott Foster. I like it. We'll steal it. We'll use it in the broadcast as well. It'll be 2-1. Eustace Farnham hosting 0-2 Deshler. And Scott, we're halfway through. Here we go.
Here we go. Should be fun. This will be a fun home stretch.
He's Scott Foster. I'm Tyler Cavali. This has been our fourth week of edition of the Press Box Preview here on KRVN.